Sunday to you all. Standing outside the door of love and mercy, you wonder if there's a place there for you. You know there's peace inside, but still you're searching for someone who understands the pain you've been through. While the doors are locked, the lights are on. What are you waiting for? Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. You'll find a place of rest in the arms of spirit. God's waited so long for your homecoming day. God knows the peace you seek and the hurt you're feeling. Spirit wants to hold you and to wipe the tears away, while the Father waits with open arms. And God is calling out your name. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Well, there's room enough in the house of love for someone just like you. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, just come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, just come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, just come on in.
Good morning, everybody. It's so good to see all of you. I'm Bev Spivey. I am happy to co-minister here with my wonderful husband, Reverend Lawrence Palmer. Thank you. And this year, our theme is One Humanity, Many Stories. 9 years ago this weekend, was anybody here? Yes, Jim, Harold, some of you were here. That was James McCoy. The day we opened after resurrecting this abandoned church, we had no air conditioning, we had old carpeting, but James was here with musicians. So James McCoy, our music director.
Good morning. 9 years ago. Wow. Would you please welcome Mr. Peter Wallace at the piano this morning, Mr. Jeff Renza at the drum set, our featured soloist is Samantha Natalie Wallace, and we have music from two Unity staples, I guess you can say, Faith Rivera, a song from her, and a song from Sue Riley, and we'll be doing the song that I wrote for meditation again today. And the way you're here today is actually the way I had it initially written it anyway, so you'll see.
Thanks, James. And of course, with our One Humanity, Many Stories for the year, our monthly theme, October it is, Finding Comfort. Won't you join me in our affirmation? The Christ's presence is my guide, my strength, and my comfort. And we have our vision that we repeat together. Centered in God, we create an ever-expanding spiritual community of one. And our mission statement reminds us who we are. Together, we are a spiritual beacon of inspiration, abundance, and enlightenment. So let's have a centering prayer together now. As we close our eyes and breathe together the warmth and welcome of this spiritual community that gathered 9 years ago this weekend, October 12th, 2010, with the idea and the goal of creating a healthy, principled, spiritual community run by unity principles, held in integrity, with a focus on prayer and prosperity and healthy healing, wholeness, oneness, all of those ideals. And we've done it. And we are here. And we bless the past and all the efforts. And we hold the knowing for the future that we will thrive, that we will continue to be inclusive and welcome all who come through our doors. And as we branch into online and beyond, we certainly see ourselves as a beacon. And so it is. Amen. Let's stand now and sing together.
Pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Sing your song in me, sing your song into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Sing your song in me, sing your song into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Pour your love in me, pour your joy into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Pour your joy in me, pour your joy into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Shine your light in me, shine your light into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Shine your light in me, shine your light into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Oh, wonderful Spirit.
I've met some of you that are here for the first time, but we certainly want to welcome you and ask if you would raise your hand if you're here for the first time. We just have a welcome brochure to give you.
Welcome, welcome.
We do have an ambassador's table that's in Fellowship Hall that is welcoming for any of your questions. Stop by there if you'd like to know more about this center or more about Unity, or just in general want to chat. Stop by our welcome table. And our website, unitypompanobeach.org, will always keep you informed about what we have going on. We have live stream there as we broadcast this service. Hi, all you live streamers. We thank you for coming in with us this morning, wherever you are. So it's a good way to tune in for the service if you're home and in your jammies, or if you're traveling. So we welcome everybody to go to our website and check there for all of our events and details. In addition to the live stream, John cuts the lesson portion, the 20-minute sermon lesson portion, every week and it's there as a podcast. So if you just want to hear the audio of what our speaker had to say, you can tune into that, and they're there for, I think, a year or more. So
We're glad all the live streamers are there, and we just want to let you know Nancy Larry is here with the grandkids. So.
Oh, yes. Nancy, we miss you. This is Pete's family, and Nancy tunes in on live stream. Great. And everybody else, welcome today. All right, we want to let you know that fellowship time afterwards is always inviting for everybody to come and have some snacks and fellowship together. There'll be some there that have been here with the resurrection of this abandoned church and can tell you all about that. And just get to know each other, because we really believe in the warmth of spiritual community. Prayer is also important here. We have chaplains who are wonderful presence for you to hold your prayer requests. They are in the chapel a half hour before every service. That's the first room on the right. We have a prayer chapel. They're also there after every service. And at the end of the service in here, the chaplains will stand in the aisle, on the outer aisles, to have prayer with you. So do take advantage of that. We have prayer request forms that are in the chair backs. They are blue. And if you would fill that out, the prayer chest is in the lobby now. It's brought up during prayer time, or you may put it in the offering plate or give it to an usher. And let us join you in prayer. Our chaplains will honor those prayer requests and pray about your request all week long. And then it's sent on to Unity Village for 24/7 prayer in their prayer chapel for a month. So take advantage of the power of positive prayer. Now we have some announcements. Today is Sunday sessions. Lawrence will be leading that right in here at 12:30. Grab a bite to eat and then come over 12:30 to 1:30. He will entertain any questions you may have, but especially this month he's speaking about divine order, and that's kind of a mind boggler for some people. So come get straight about how you feel about divine order, and if you want to argue with him, that's okay. He can handle it. I do it all the time. So again, one thing about Unity, if you're not familiar with this type of gathering, we are a spiritual center that welcomes introspection and also understanding and questioning. So sessions is our second Sunday how we do that. We also have a wonderful opportunity to invite friends, neighbors, people from work, anybody that would be in the least bit interested in Ram Dass. Please, it's $12 a ticket. There are plenty of little cards that you can drop off at wherever you get your hair done, your nails done, your cards purchased, any kind of bookstores, Whole Foods. Take those, and let's see if we can't get 300 people in here for this screening. We will have professional equipment. One of our wonderful members has sponsored this for us, and we really want to be inclusive in that there are plenty of people who, for whatever reason, Sunday morning doesn't appeal to them to go to a church service, yet they are part of us, spiritual people. And this is one way we can create community by coming together. So do your part if you would, and invite a person or two to come and join you here. It's 7:30 for seating and purchases at the door. It's easier if you'll purchase online through our website, unitypompanobeach.org. But tickets and doors open at 7:30, and then it'll be pitch black at 8 o'clock, and we will show the film starting at 8 o'clock on the dot. We'll have some discussion time afterwards, question and answers. Hang out if you'd like to. The film is about an hour and a half. So, Friday night. Then we had announced our improv comedy workshop for this week. It's going to be next week, October 24th, Thursday night, here in Fellowship Hall, led by Daniel Shimmick, who will be leading us through a lot of fun with improv. That's $10 as you come through the door to Fellowship Hall on the 24th. We also have Dr. Dream returning November 1st. It's a Friday night, starting at 7 o'clock in here till 10 o'clock. He has 111 Tibetan bowls, essential oils, and it's a healing service. Dr. Dream tours the country and has been several other places. You may have heard of him. He is generous in donating back part of the proceeds to us. So again, this is something that even if you perhaps are not interested, you may know people at work or just in your social circle who would enjoy this kind of experience with Dr. Dream and the Tibetan bowls. And another opportunity, this is sponsored by Neighborhood Transportation, which is Phil DeRocher's business. You'll see his vehicle parked in our parking lot a lot of times. They are sponsoring a community family day picnic for us. Tickets are $10 because it's going to be catered for us. You don't need to take anything to this picnic. They are even covering the parking because at Trade Winds on a Saturday, there is a parking fee per person of $1.50. Your ticket will also cover that. So for $10, come on out. The picnic will be all day long, starting at 10 o'clock. The food, of course, will be catered and available probably in that noontime, 1 o'clock time frame. So get there in time to eat for sure. And we're going to have games and lots of fun. If you're interested in games or anything to do with setup or cleanup, see Rita and Phil, and they'll appreciate your help, I'm sure. But for all of us, it's a fun day for Unity of Pompano and our friends and people we invite. And last of all, book sale. John, are we open for business today? Okay, we're in the midst of getting new carpeting in Fellowship Hall, but you can find your way to the bookstore through that garden door or winding through the stacked furniture and come in through the Fellowship Hall doors. Bookstore is our used books. Stop by there. We also have copies of the Daily Word, and we are now open to receive the used books you want to donate to the church. Clear out your shelves. It's time to circulate everything, to recycle them here. And on November 10 and 17, then we will have those used books for sale here and also CDs. So, time to clean up, fall cleaning. And I believe that concludes these many announcements. Thanks for your patience. Let's stand and greet each other.
Good morning, Unity of Pompano. My name is Radiant Satterfield, and I'm proud to serve here as a chaplain. I also lead the women's group, Women of Unity, on the second Saturday of each month. Little plug there. Yes. We had a fantastic meeting yesterday. Our theme was angels, spirit guides, and the paranormal, and it was just an amazing meeting. So if you missed it, come next month, second Saturday, and every month after, because we have a wonderful time and we have an amazing sisterhood here. We really do. That continues to grow. So the theme for this year is One Humanity, Many Stories, and I'm blessed today to be able to read to you the daily word about service and to share my own story about serving here at Unity of Pompano. I've been a member of Unity Church for 13 years. However, I moved here to Pompano in, it was 2010 actually, and I did not know that this church was here yet. I was seeking a spiritual center and did not find one until my husband and I began looking for a church in which to get married, and we found out that we'd bought a house in this neighborhood and that there was a Unity Church in walking distance. And I know for a fact that it was meant to be, and this is my spiritual home now, and I'm so proud to serve here. I love this place, I want it to grow, and I want you all to be encouraged, inspired, and inspired to serve here as well. So the daily word for today is service. I experience joy as I give of myself in service to others. Today, I serve those closest to me, as well as the larger community, through my thoughts, words, and actions. As I see individuals or groups, I remember each person is the image of God, just as I am, with unlimited potential. In my professional work and as a volunteer, I look for opportunities to offer my skills and gifts in service to them. Divine love flows to me and from me as I do what is mine to do. I experience great joy as I give myself in service to others. I need no expression of gratitude from them, although they often give it. My service blesses me with a growing awareness of oneness with those I serve and with all of humankind. Thus says the Lord of hosts, render true judgments, show kindness and mercy to one another. And that is from Zechariah chapter 7, verse 9.
Right now, as the prayer chest comes forward, we'd like to begin a time of prayer meditation by singing together, You Know the Truth is You.
When you feel the light and love of God around you, you know the truth is you. As the light of God, the love of God surrounds you, you know the truth is you. Let the power of God, the peace of God inside you become the power, holy you. Become the peace, holy you. That is you. As the power of the Christ mind connects you, you know the truth is you. May divine intelligence inside you always guide you. become the peace, only you, that is you, that is you, that is you.
I invite you now to settle into that very comfortable and familiar position for your body. And as you do, you can give your body permission to relax, to let go, to let be. And with that loving permission, your body will immediately move its focus from the outer to the inner. You can do the same with your mind, giving your mind that loving permission just to be, not to work, just to be. And with body at ease and mind at ease, your awareness then is free to commune with Spirit. And since this is your time, that communion is to be whatever works for you, whatever serves you, whatever brings comfort to you. So let us together enter into that place in that deep of our heart where we commune with Spirit as ourselves now. And now as you prepare to move your awareness back to your body, back to this time and space, you know that even an instant during which your awareness is immersed in that deep of your heart, that healing and transformation take place. And you know that you can bring with you into your body, into your heart, into your mind, the essence of this experience in the stillness. And in this coming week, as you choose to, you can simply take a deep breath and recall the essence and be blessed all over again. So with a deep sense of gratitude for this opportunity of being together in this very powerful and special way, I invite you to take a deep, slow breath in through your nose. Hold it for a moment, then exhale deliberately through your mouth. And when you're ready, open your eyes and we will sing together, Alleluia.
I am a child of this universe. The ocean dances at my feet. The wind plays a melody through my hair. I am loved at every turn. I am kissed by Mother Earth. I am a child of this universe. The sun warms me in its embrace. The stars have a night for me in the sky. I am honored by all life. I am held by Father Time. Every blade of grass, every shaking leaf on the tree, every mountain top sings of the glory of God moving through me. I am a child of this universe. Through me all of life can breathe. I plant the seed with my every dream. I can love at every turn. Give a kiss to Mother Earth. Yes, sings of the glory of God moving through me, moving through me, moving through me,
That's Samantha Natalie. It's the music of Faith Rivera.
As always, thank you, band. Wonderful job. My goodness. Yes. Well, our theme for this month is comfort. And that seemed kind of a strange thing when James and I were working on music. I called him and said, we're working on this. And he said, comfort? 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 But it's a good thing. We'll find that's a good theme to work on. Last week, we looked at the comfort of divine order. Now, we use that term sometimes not quite accurately and correctly, and I tried to correct that a little bit last week, that divine order is as according to Charles Fillmore, the first law of the universe. Divine order is that which underlies everything else and out of which everything else comes. So even when things look chaotic in the outer, even when there are questions in the outer, even when there are uncertainties in the outer, even when there's pain and confusion in the outer, divine order is still in operation. One of the good analogies is that of gravity. You take gravity for granted. You don't pay a lot of attention to it, but it's always serving you, always in place. Even when things like airplanes seem to contradict gravity, we know that it's still there and still in operation. So is it with divine order. The presence of Spirit in divine order is always there, and in that we can take comfort. I think one of the most comforting things in this world is that of certainty. To know that there's not going to be an unexpected change all of a sudden. That divine order is going to be divine order. Now that's a foundational understanding of divine order. Now I shared with you last week that I was going to speak to you today about the functions of divine order. And I realized that there's another principle in between that would be important for us to take a look at. So this morning I want you to consider with me the idea of the principle of oneness. And it's important for us because when we talk about divine order, it would be possible for us to begin to think that divine order is over there somewhere and I'm over here somewhere. And there's some kind of questionable connection between the two, but I'm not sure what it is. Well, let me tell you what it is. The connection that you and I have with divine order is that of oneness. This is where duality kind of enters into the picture, where we begin to imagine divine order is one thing and we're something else. There are two of us here, when there's actually only one of us here. So that principle, that basic law of the universe of divine order is there, and we are one with it. There is no separation. We are connected with it in a way that cannot be changed, it cannot be diminished. And that's important for us, and I think that too is a great source of comfort for us. Now, when we talk about oneness, there are a number of stages, if you will, that humankind has gone through in this process of interacting with divine order. If you read the story of creation in the book of Genesis and Adam and Eve in the garden, you'll find that Adam and Eve were there in this blissful state. Everything was perfect. They didn't need anything at all. God came and walked with them every day in the cool of the evening. They were just happy as they could be. Well, Adam and Eve in that state of consciousness were in a state of unconscious oneness. Unconscious oneness. They didn't know anything else but oneness, so they weren't aware of anything else. Consciousness is about being awake. It is about being aware. And they were not awake, they were not aware to anything except their oneness with the Creator. Right there, nothing else was there. There was no disharmony, there was no pain, there was no challenge, nothing. But it was a state of unconscious oneness. And when we are unconscious, we are asleep. Have any of you ever been knocked unconscious? You had something whacked you on the head and you became unconscious. Well, what were you like in that state? You weren't aware of anything. You weren't awake. And in the development of humankind, in our spiritual/human development, we go through that place, or we began in that place, that state of consciousness of being unconscious, of being unaware. And in that story of creation, Adam and Eve were in that state of being unaware of anything else except this blissful existence. And even today, there are people who are living in that state of unconscious oneness. There are people out there in the world who don't have the first thought about spirit, about God, about anything outside of what is three-dimensionally in front of them at that very moment. And in the spiritual sense, they are unconscious. Yet they are still one with divine order. Unconscious oneness. They're one and don't know it. Remember that song about I was country when country wasn't cool? Well, we are one even if we don't know it. Before the awareness comes, before the awakening comes, we are one with that spirit, with that divine order. So a lot of people are out there, and part of what we are about is helping people to wake up. And some of you have had experiences, I've heard you speaking about an experience of awakening. All of a sudden you realize something. You're not unconscious anymore. You become conscious of what's going on. And in the evolution of humankind and human thought, and in that story in Genesis, we find it talked about where Adam and Eve all of a sudden became consciously separate from God. They realized, hey, wait a minute, God is here and God is saying this to us, yet we have the opportunity to step over here and do something else. And they did. And in that moment, they woke up. They became conscious. They lost their innocence, their unconsciousness, and they became aware. They became awake. They became aware that they didn't have any clothes on and they were embarrassed. They weren't before. But when they woke up, they began to be aware of the things that were around them, and the things around them weren't quite matching up with this incredible bliss that they felt before. They found that being unconscious was probably a little more comfortable than being conscious, at least in the moment. So there's that state of consciousness for us of being consciously separate. This is where guilt comes in. If you weren't conscious of your separation, you couldn't feel guilt, especially where God is concerned, or other people either. But when we become consciously separate, we begin to say, oh, you're over there and I'm over here. This is a stage that babies go through. And the experts in the field don't really agree with exactly when and how it happens. But at some point, a baby realizes, wait a minute, Mommy and Daddy are over there and I'm over here. Well, at first, especially with the first child, you remember the first child? All the pictures you took and everything, saved little tufts of hair and all kinds of stuff like that. The second one comes along and just goes, okay. That's not exactly true, but it is a little bit. Anyway. But when that new baby comes here, what happens when the baby cries? Immediate attention. Here's a bottle, here's a dry diaper, here's some cuddling, here's some rocking. So the baby has no distinction between itself and everything around. But at some point in the development of the human mind, this idea of conscious separateness enters in. And the baby suddenly realizes there's a world out there and then there's me. And even at 2 years old, our granddaughter has begun to say, my toy, my book. So there's a distinction between what's mine and what's yours, and this is mine. So we enter into that state of consciousness of conscious separation. And this is an uncomfortable place to live, because when you see separation in the world, there's always something that is against you. There's always something that is different from you. There's always something that is a challenge to you. And we react in different ways. Do you know why we have war all over the world? It's because of conscious separation. It's because I perceive you over there and me over here. You're different from me, so you're a threat to me. You don't look like me, so you're a threat to me. You speak a different language, so you're a threat to me. You have a different belief about God, so you're a threat to me. And that's an inherent part of separation. And for a long time, humankind has lived in that state of consciousness, of conscious separation. Divine order is still in place. We are still one with divine order, even though we have a state of consciousness of conscious separation. So what do we do about that? That's not a good place to be forever. So that is when we begin to wake up to spirituality. And we move from a state of consciousness of conscious separation to conscious oneness. In conscious separation, we live realizing there's duality and having to deal with that duality and having not always good experiences with duality. But we can live in that place where that's all we think about. That's it right there. We're completely human. All of our experiences are human. All of our feelings are human. And we're just stuck here being human. But then we begin to realize there is a spiritual component to life. And we can turn to conscious oneness, to being one with Spirit deliberately. Now, think about it, and I don't mean this in a judging way, and don't get paranoid about it at all, but think about how often your thoughts are focused on three-dimensional things that change every moment sometimes. How often do you think about human things? The things that affect your human relationships, your job, your career, your experiences, your playtime, all those things that are human. How much time do you spend thinking about those human things to the exclusion of anything else? There's some amount of time that we all do that. But what very often happens is that becomes our primary point of reference, is our humanness. And we get stuck there. Because there is indeed separation in our human interaction. There indeed is separation in our three-dimensional interaction. But underneath all of that is divine order always in place. Now, what happens if we are able to shift our focus from our human aspect to our spiritual? What if our consciousness begins to be focused not on separation, but on oneness? What if the majority or almost all of our thoughts every day are really focused on our oneness and not on separation? On our oneness and not duality? That's where humankind has been moving from the moment the first human drew breath. Was to go through these stations, these experiences, these states of consciousness as a human being to get to the place of once again being consciously one with Spirit. Think about the possibility of living every moment of every day certain about oneness. Living every moment, every day without a single thought of duality. Without a single thought of not knowing what's going on. But being able to come back again and again to that state of consciousness that takes us into oneness. It shifts where you start from. Now, it makes all the difference in the world when you're having a human experience as to whether you're having that experience or the experience is having you. And we use that little quote all the time in Unity, which is a good one, I think, that I am a spiritual being having a human experience. That's the difference in conscious separation and conscious oneness. Our focus is on our spiritual aspect rather than our human. Now, we still have the human. We still have these vehicles that we get around in here, down here, in this 3D experience. And we're going to have human experiences. You're going to have human thoughts. You're going to have human feelings. You're going to do human things. But the important thing is, where is your attention focused? What is the foundation of your life every day? What is the foundation of your thinking and your feeling and your acting? If we are in conscious oneness, the foundation of all of that is divine order. It is oneness, and I start with that. So if something comes up and I feel a little bit of anger, my experience is going to be very different if I become that anger, and if I, from a place of knowing my oneness, allow myself to feel the anger. Because there are times when anger is appropriate. There are situations where anger, human anger, and an appropriate expression that is just fine, as long as you don't become the anger. You've seen the difference. You've had someone who's aware to come to you and say, I'm feeling really angry with you right now. I'm not going to punch you in the nose, but I am feeling very angry with you right now. And let's talk about it. And it's when you're coming from that place of oneness, you can do that, as opposed to somebody coming up and just tearing you apart and calling you all kinds of awful names and even coming to physical violence. That's the difference in having a feeling and the feeling having you. Thinking is the same way. How many of you have ever got a thought in your head that you couldn't get rid of? It's like that little song that gets stuck in your head that you can't, it just keeps playing over and over. And you get this thought in your head that keeps going over and over. Well, when you get stuck in a thought like that, that's a perfect sign that you're stuck in your humanness. That your point of reference is your humanness and not your oneness with God. Because when we recognize that we are in a state of oneness, then I can think that thought and put it in its place and let go of it and move along. Because my focus is on oneness and not on separation. The focus is on my spiritual life and not my physical life. So we can take comfort in knowing that we're able to live in that oneness. Oneness is not just some concept out there somewhere. The divine order is not something that exists over here separate from me. It's a part of me. I am a part of it. And I can live in that place. That is an incredible sense of comfort for us, that there's that place to go to. If any of you ever been between houses, you're selling a house and buying a house, but the first one's not sold and you haven't bought the other one yet, and you're kind of in that in-between area, isn't that uncomfortable? Like, I want home. I want a place for my stuff. I want to know where my stuff is. I want to put my hands on my tools when I want them. Well, when we come to that place of conscious oneness, it's like going home. It's like being home. It's like having your stuff where it's supposed to be. There was a story I heard one time about a missionary who was in some foreign country and was translating the Bible into the native language. And they were trying to find a word for trust. And they couldn't find a word, a native word for the English word trust. And he kept talking and working with it. And finally, what they came up with is a picture of someone lying down in a hammock and just letting go. And letting their whole weight rest in that hammock. That was the equivalent of what we call trust. So when we talk about comfort, think about something that brings you to that place of comfort. It might be macaroni and cheese. It might be your mother's biscuits and red-eye gravy. It might be all kinds of things as far as food goes. It might be a certain place that immediately spells comfort. I used to have an old red recliner that I had for years, which got left behind when I moved in with Bev. But that was my meditation chair. I didn't eat sitting in that chair. I didn't watch TV sitting in that chair. The only thing I did was meditate in that chair. So when I hit that chair, my body said, ah. And it was like lying in the hammock. It was like, there it is. Oh, another story. There's an old man who'd never been on an airplane before, and for some family situation, he had to fly across the country. And when he got to the other end, somebody said, well, how was it? Was the flight okay? He said, yeah, it was all right, but I never did put all my weight down. So comfort is a place where you put all your weight down. Comfort is a place, an experience, a state of mind where you can say, here it is, here it is. And when we begin to live in that state of conscious oneness, we find that comfort. In the outer, out in the physical, there may be disharmony. That's okay, because you are grounded in oneness, and you find the comfort there. It may be a time of confusion where there are unanswered questions in your mind. That's okay, because you are grounded in oneness. You are one with divine order. So all of the things that go on out here are things that go on out here. And that does not change the truth of the matter, that you and I are one with divine order. We live in oneness. That is our true nature. And in that, we can find comfort. So in this week, as you think more about divine order and begin to recognize more and more that absolute essence, the first law of the universe of divine order that is always there, and you remind yourself as you live more and more often in that state of conscious oneness, that you are inseparable from oneness. You cannot be removed from it, and that connection cannot be diminished. We are one, and that opens up all kinds of doors. Next week, we're going to take a look at our divine nature and how that ties into comfort and all these other things we've been talking about. But this week, I encourage you to catch yourself, and don't do it in such a way, oh, you did it again, you messed up, you failed, what, not like that at all. But just simply be aware of saying, wow, my thoughts are kind of drifting over here a little bit. I'm getting back into separation again. I don't need to do that. I can think the thought, but I'm coming back to the truth of the matter. And you find yourself getting upset about something, worried or angry or whatever, and you can say, well, there I am. I'm feeling a little bit worried and angry, but I'm going to come back over here, ground myself once again in oneness. I can feel those things. I can think those things, but this is home. And it feels safe, and it feels comfortable to do that. So in this coming week, my prayer for you is that you find comfort in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your being, because we are one with divine order. God bless you.
We hope you're comfortable here. We desire to have a spiritual community that does experience that relaxation that comfort brings. And as we are a teaching center, we invite you to take advantage of our many classes and ways to get to that spot. So as our ushers come forward, one of the things that you can gauge your spiritual experience and growth is, can you get comfortable with giving? Can you get comfortable with serving, as today our word was service? Can you get comfortable with sharing what you have? Can you get comfortable with giving to a spiritual center? We hope we are that center for you. We appreciate everything that you give here, for indeed our friends, our members are our only source of support. And like every other building and business anywhere, we certainly have expenses, but we always know that our source is coming from the multitude of ideas and benefits in all of you and through all of you. So won't you hold your gift today, knowing that we appreciate your giving, and we look to see all the many avenues of good for each and every one of us in this coming week. Let us bless it together with a grateful heart. I acknowledge God as source of all that is. Today, I let go of any concern of lack and allow good to unfold in my life. Good is mine. Good and more good is mine. And ever-increasing good is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this good. I feel it. I experience it. I freely give it. And it multiplies itself around me. And so it is. Amen.
We got this song from Sue Riley, who writes a lot of music for Unity and New Thought institutions. But what you're about to hear is our own little version of it. So if you get Sue's recording of it, it's not like what you're about to hear. We put a little New Orleans in it, so you'll see what I mean.
Gonna set it free, let things be, let the thrill of gonna set it free. Let things be. Let the thrill of life carry me. 'Cause now I know I'm in the flow. I'm finally free. Oh, blessed be. Gonna set it free. Let things be. Let the thrill of life carry me. 'Cause now I know I'm in the flow. I'm finally free. Oh, blessed be. 'Cause now I know I'm in the flow. I'm finally free. Blessed be. Finally free. Finally free. Oh, blessed be.
And as our chaplains find some spots in the aisle, I remind you once again to stop by and have a word of positive prayer with them in your week, and certainly enjoy fellowship time following the service. So won't you stand now and let's bless each other as we leave today. Take this wonderful energy with you. And together, the light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Have a good Sunday, everybody.